A scandal that shook the Polish internet. The fall of a YouTube star who was once a symbol of success but has now become synonymous with moral decay. Robert Pasut, a man who won the hearts of millions with his laid-back attitude and humor, is now facing a wave of hatred and accusation that could ruin his life forever. How did the icon of Polish YouTube transform into the most controversial figure on the internet? Get ready for shocking details, the brutal truth, and answers to the questions that all of Poland is asking. It's the story of the downfall of a man who destroyed everything he built over the years. It's the year 2012. Polish YouTube is still in its infancy. The first vloggers are just starting to appear. Influencers aren't considered a real profession yet, and the internet feels more like the Wild West than something structured. That's when three friends step onto the scene with a vision for themselves: Cezary Jóźwik, Rafał Masny, and Robert Pasut. With the YouTube battlefield still practically empty, they burst onto it full force with their humorous content on their channel Abstra TV. What not to say in relationship? Types of friends in the squad. Horror parody. What we think at the hairdresser. Their content was relatable before relatable was even a thing. They often explored the trends like expectations versus reality, what people say versus what they think, or honest trailers and commercials. No wonder their content quickly went viral, thanks largely to their signature catchphrases, which teenagers at the time eagerly adopted. These phrases often involved cleverly tweaking swear words to make them safe to use around adults, sounding slightly different but still clear enough for everyone to get the gist. Extremely popular back at the time, Gunwo, referring to the shit, was definitely one of them. Every teenager dreamed of a t-shirt with that print. Edgy jokes, sharp humor, and catchy slogans. The recipe for success was complete. The channel started gaining more and more recognition, and the guys began receiving invitations to magazines, interviews, and TV shows. This was a time when YouTubers were, at best, treated condescendingly and not taken seriously. When they appeared on Kuba Wojewódzki's show, one of the most prime-time entertainment shows of the era, you could tell they were slightly overwhelmed by their own success. Under the clip of that interview on YouTube, you can still find comments like "I love Abstra TV, I watch you guys, they're awesome," but also remarks such as "they're suited for the internet, not television." They were just a bunch of friends, a little bit shy, a little bit quirky, frolicking around the internet and making fun of life. It was around this time, as Abstra TV's popularity skyrocketed, that guy by the name of Robert Pasut began to take the lead. While Masny was the brains of the channel, he was the face of it, and quickly became the most distinctive member of the group. In an interview, he presented himself as what one commenter described as a cool, chill guy from YouTube. This made him even more relatable. To many, he seemed like that high school buddy you could mess around with, laugh with, and just have a great time. He was a cool yet totally approachable guy, perfect for parasocial relationships. Back then, YouTubers made money primarily through advertising, collaborations, and those started pouring it like never before. With the substantial funds that came into their lives, the guys gained opportunities that internet creators had never had before. They began launching additional channels. Eventually, they had over a dozen. The most famous among them was Beksy, Crybabies, a female-oriented counterpart to their main channel. Essentially just girly things, but with a 2015 twist. After just a year of operation, Abstra TV became the second most subscribed channel in Poland, with their videos generating an average of 10 million views per month. This success marked the start of collaborations with major brands like Samsung, PZU, one of the Polish biggest insurance agencies, and Coca-Cola. And with big money arrived even bigger problems. However, this was also when the problems began, and the situation started to overwhelm Robert Pasut. the chill guy from YouTube. When Abstra TV, by then not just a channel but also a company, became co-owners of the entertainment and media portal Global.com, the team's responsibilities included attending events 3 times a week. Robert struggled the most with his lifestyle, developing serious substance abuse issues that affected not only his health but also the group's activities. At the time, these problems were kept secret and the channel's viewership continued to grow, doubling to around 20 million monthly views and making Abstra TV the largest entertainment channel in Poland. Surfing recklessly on this wave of success, the team decided to expand beyond the internet, launching their own clothing brands and venturing into gastronomy by opening a club and a sushi bar. Despite the still strong performance of their channels, by 2017 the team had accumulated a debt of 1 million Polish zlotys, over $240,000. It became clear that they were far better at creating videos than running a business. Each year the debt grew as they launched and quickly shut down new channels, struggling to find their future growth direction. The financial stress further deepened Robert's substance abuse issues. The year 2019 marked the darkest period in their career. The company ended the year with a loss of nearly 4 million Polish zlotys, over $960,000. The pandemic only made things worse. The company had to lay off many employees, and the reach of their new videos kept decreasing lower and lower each day. Abstra TV struggled to keep up with the ever-evolving internet landscape. To add to their troubles, during the lockdown, Sylwester Wardenga, another Polish creator with a massive audience, released a video exposing the group's severe financial problems. This revelation caused their viewership to drop from millions per episode to around 100,000 views per video. The guys literally had the ground burning beneath their feet. What is to blame for the significant downfall of the channel? Partly the increasing number of competing creators online over time, and partly boys' obsession with chasing views without considering the costs. Pasut emphasized that after the departure of Masny, one of the founders, they didn't declare bankruptcy, but sold their shares to save the company. They let go of the indebted company, repurchased their first channel and moved to TikTok. Robert admitted, "Apparently, I'm the kind of person who can do great things and then mess them up epically. It was a series of decisions. You can't just ignore costs and focus only on views. The same formats could have been produced more cheaply," he explained. Polish internet creators who have run out of ideas for their content but have already reached a certain level of popularity often face 3 main paths of character development. They either tend to only dive into conspiracy theories and pseudoscience or start participating in freak fights. In Poland, the main organization for such fights is Fame MMA, and that's exactly where Pasut eventually hid it. He quickly gained notoriety for his bizarre behavior at press conferences, even by the standards of that environment. Additionally, on his private channels, he began posting ethically questionable street interviews, mostly involving visibly intoxicated women and girls whom he approached in nightlife districts. This marked the beginning of controversies surrounding Pasut, which only deepened over time, causing his online career to spiral downhill toward complete ruin. Aggressive behaviors started to escalate also on the other side of the microphone. He was approached by people attacking him before he even managed to ask them any questions. Heated emotions enhanced by alcohol were increasing from both sides, more and more.
To jest Pasut!
No to idź sobie.
Nie, no ty idź sobie.
Ty spierdaj, to ty podeszłeś do mnie.
Tak do mnie odzywasz?
Bo kurwa mogę, wypierdaj, nie podchodź do mnie.
The further Pasut moved from the golden era of Abstra, the more his activities relied on controversy and provocation. His behavior stirred a lot of negative emotions, and over time, his fans stopped watching him out of genuine admiration. Instead, they turned in with a twisted pleasure similar to the audience of self-degrading pato streamers who are willing to do anything for views. Robert's fights in Fame MMA initially garnered significant beneficent interest, but eventually came to be seen as pathetic. His street interviews, filled with crude and exaggerated questions, also received increasingly negative reactions. Through his live streams, he managed to get banned even on Kick, a streaming platform known for its highly liberal approach to censorship. On these live streams, he argued with his mother on air, surrounded himself with ever younger teen girls he treated really badly and scornfully referred to as his harem.
Ty gotujesz, sprzątasz, ja idę do Explosion na szmaty. Biorę szmatę z klubu, przyprowadzam ją tutaj. Ja nawet nie mówię, gdzieś wchodzę do sypialni, patrzę na ciebie, ty usuwasz się z tej sypialni, czmychasz.
Beat an elderly man and even performed stunts like cutting off and eating his own skin. Throughout this time, Pasut openly displayed his struggles with addiction to alcohol, drugs and casual sexual encounters with young women. Just how young these women were became clear only later, but more on that in a moment. Excerpts from his interviews made waves in mainstream media, where he admitted he never used protection during sex because he believed sexually transmitted disease were a hoax and a conspiracy by manufacturers.
Jakie masz choroby weneryczne?
Miałem kiedyś rzeżączkę na Sylwestra 2015 i to tyle.
Czyli zabezpieczasz się, dbasz?
Nie zabezpieczam się. Badania robię, no przecież. Ja uważam ogólnie, że to jest trochę scam taki tego przemysłu.
He also argued that while he might use drugs, anyone taking antidepressants is equally a junkie as him.
Ja uważam, że uczenie młodych, że świat jest fajny i przyjemny, to jest psucie im głowy. Potem oni się są smutni i idą do lekarza po jakieś gówne leki. Przecież te leki to są narkotyki zwykłe. Naprawdę, ja mogę się przyznać, że jestem ćpunem, ale nie rozśmieszajcie mnie, jak wy mówicie, że nie bierzecie, a żrecie antydepresanty czy jakieś takie gówna. Normalnie ćpunami jesteście i tyle.
The first of two final nails in the coffin of his reputation, if any was still left at that point, turned out to be his participation in The Goats dating show. Later, he admitted he was heavily drunk that day and he doesn't remember a thing. During that video, he was fulfilling the instructions of boys sitting backstage and taking a peek on how dates were going.
Chcę ci pokazać, bo na przykład dziewczyna też się może bronić. Zobacz, masz przeciwnika, zakładasz tutaj nogę, tą topę pod to kolano wsadzić. Musisz mnie jechać jak najmocniej w tyłek. Ej, to było mocno, a teraz ja ciebie.
Jako facet.
Second one was an interview on the Zgrzyt channel, which was titled Does Robert Pasut Hate Women? And from this interview, it became undeniably clear and increasingly obvious that he, in fact, does.
Koszmar z tym babskiem. Za dużo tego
jest...
babskiego, to koszmar w ogóle w domu mieć, a jeszcze być w robocie, to ja bym się zbił. No, także trzeba być materialnie sobie pozwolić na to, żeby sobie narobić tych dzieci, a broń Boże tam nie siedzieć z tymi babami. O. Dziecko spoko, ale babsko to jest nie wytrzymał z jedną kobietą, nie? One są bardzo przewidywalne, będą na 100%.
While on air, he referred to people criticizing his actions, especially after appearance in Goats.
Ci, co by chcieli pobzykać, a nie bzykają, to grube, brzydkie, grubi to i to są wszyscy ci ludzie, co się spinali na te odcinki, no.
What more, he admitted that at this point of his life, he doesn't really believe in the existence of love or friendship.
Przyjaźń, miłość to są jakieś gówniane koncepty, w ogóle nieprawdziwe. W jakim on świecie? Największym moim koszmarem, czasami mi się śni, kurwa, że jestem w związku, nie się budzę cały spocony.
Ja byłem długo sam,
No i
ale
co ci nie
teraz
pasowało?
jestem 6 lat w związku.
No i czego ci brakowało? Bo mi brakuje wolności, jak z kimś jestem, na przykład. Nie musisz się nikomu tłumaczyć, gdzie byłeś, co robiłeś, kurwa. Możesz sobie, przepraszam, sypiać z kim chcesz, możesz raz blondynkę, raz brunetkę, a nie ciągle jednego kotleta wpierdolić.
What more, it appears that Robert himself feels he's getting used.
Teraz to ja muszę udawać, ja muszę się puszczać za to, żeby one wystąpiły. Ale ja nie żartuję w tym momencie.
Co to znaczy?
Nie, nikt w to nie uwierzy, ja wiem o tym. To znaczy, że ja dziewczynom mówię, dawaj się przyśpimy, a potem ją namawiam na odcinek. Nie jest na odwrót.
If you think things can't get worse around this man, you are deeply mistaken. Few days ago, Polish portals and newspapers informed that the prosecutor's office received a notice and a recording claiming that Pato streamer has committed several prohibited acts, including performing sexual acts with a child, assisting and aiding and abetting other people in the sexual abuse of children, and seducing a child under the age of 15, beatings, lynching, insults, and exposing a person to direct danger of losing health and life. However, the situation is complicated enough for lawyers to argue whether he was or was not guilty, because the girl claimed to be over 18 years old. If this turns out to be true, Pasut may be sentenced to 15 years in jail.
Ten temat, który jest bardzo złożony. Nie zawsze, kiedy ktoś ci powie, będziesz w błędzie, usprawiedliwionym błędzie. No jeżeli spotykasz dziewczynę, która mówi ci, że ma 18 lat i się przy tym chichra, no to ewidentnie widzisz, że raczej ciśnie ona bekę i 15 lat może nie. Tutaj sąd patrzy na więcej czynników. Po pierwsze wygląd tej dziewczyny. Jeżeli faktycznie ten wygląd dziewczyny sprawia wrażenie, że ona może mieć więcej niż 15 lat, prawdopodobnie to pokazując podrobiony dokument. Oglądałem tego streama Pasuta celowo, żeby też nie powiedzieć głupoty wyrwanej z kontekstu. Pasut naprawdę się tam dopytywał. Takie nacechowane erotycznie pocałunki mogą stanowić tak zwaną inną czynność seksualną, która już jest przestępstwem, jeżeli dotyczy małoletniego.
While I had already written this material, more events have unfolded. Recently, Robert Pasut decided to travel to Thailand in search of new, more controversial content. During one of his live streams, he showed how he was spending time with a woman who, as it turned out, was not in a state of full consciousness. During a shared tuk-tuk ride, the woman fell asleep, and upon arriving at the hotel, Robert paid for the ride by taking money from her pocket. After reaching the room, Pasut began to engage in more intimate interactions with the woman, who remained unconscious. During the live stream, viewers started asking controversial questions about the woman's state, and joking encouraged Robert to verify her gender. In response to these provocations, Robert uncovered the blankets and proceeded to touch her body in a manner that can be considered inappropriate. Later, he compared the scent of the woman's intimate areas to Thai curry. Thai law regarding abuse, especially in situations that may violate an individual freedom or dignity, is extremely strict and can result in many years of imprisonment. Aware of this, the man made the decision to flee the country immediately. Several hours after the incident, Pasut left Thailand. Shortly after the event, a massive wave of criticism erupted. Internet users began publicly condemning his behavior. Pasut decided to address the situation and explain his actions. In his statements, he denied touching the woman in a way that would violate her privacy, claiming that he only uncovered the blankets without making contact with her body. However, over time, he admitted to touching her underwear and keeping his hands on her buttocks.